My experience with the deep web was pretty chill, to be completely honest. I also didn't go looking for trouble, and I do not recommend you go poking around. I heard about it on 9gag in 2012 and didn't believe it at first. So, I looked it up and figured out I needed something called Tor. Then I read some warnings about getting hacked and needing to disable JavaScript to be 99% safe. Rule number 1 is you are never completely safe once you are on the network. You don't know who is lurking or who is watching. I think the feds also got into it right about then, so there was some collective pants shitting about that. Also, I read somewhere that you can be almost 100% sure that at least one government agency is watching you at any point in time, deep web or not. Take what you will from that. Here we go. I turn off the lights in my room, disconnect the webcam and microphone, hit connect. Some loading bars later, it says you are now connected to the Tor network. So where is the welcome to the deep net you made it banner? There wasn't one. Next, I had to get a hold of some .onion links to be able to visit sites. Googled a few, found an Encyclopedia Dramatica onion link, which led to the deep version of ED with lots and lots of onion links, classified by content. Yes, there were various filias that aren't to be mentioned here. Other things included lots of dead links, a few sites to hire hitmen, one of which clearly said if you really want to find us, you will find a way to contact us. That was a bit frightening overall, with a blood-red background color. More freaky shit followed when I stumbled upon a site that had images of various experiments done on humanoid beings, some of which I cannot remember, probably because I blocked them out. There were images of vats with horrors floating in them. That was the freakiest shit I have ever found on the deep net. That fucking site was ghoulish. I recommend you don't go looking for them. I warmly recommend you don't. I think you could actually buy some of those things and have them fucking shipped to you. What the actual fuck? One thing that surprised me was that everything was extremely simplistic. Most pages looked like they were written in HTML. Even the color scheme was 16-bit on some pages, especially the search engines, which I never figured out how to get searches out of. Flash was nowhere to be heard from either. It did feel a bit like the internet of the 90s that I missed. Next, I found a large list of documents that contained sensitive-looking information. I mean it when I say sensitive. Stuff your average Cody Maverick shouldn't be able to access from his home computer. I wanted to download some of them but then figured that would be bad judgment. I choose not to remember anything I saw there. Not my business. I avoided all the XXX pages for the sake of not having to bleach my retina afterward. One of the best choices I made to date. What else was there? I don't really remember. I spent a good few hours poking around there, trying to find something interesting and or forbidden, but I just got bored of it. I went back after a few years to see if any of the sites still exist and yup, most of them were dead. Any conclusion from this? I can't really decide whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. It definitely has some really dark stuff floating about. In the muted glow of my apartment, I sat hunched over my laptop, my face obscured by the dim light emanating from the screen. The invitation had arrived in my inbox, a cryptic message that hinted at secrets untold. Intrigued and perhaps fueled by a touch of rebellion, I decided to follow the virtual breadcrumb trail into the dark web. Using a secure VPN and adopting the persona of Cypher, I cautiously navigated through the shadowy corridors of the dark web. The forums were filled with discussions ranging from cybercrime to government conspiracies. It didn't take long for me to find the elusive chat room mentioned in the invitation. As I entered the chat room, a sense of unease settled in. The avatars, shrouded in anonymity, exchanged coded messages that hinted at a world hidden beneath the surface. A private message popped up on my screen, guiding me to a link promising exclusive access to confidential information. The files I downloaded unveiled a trove of data, government documents, corporate secrets, and information on clandestine operations. My initial excitement morphed into trepidation as I realized the gravity of what I had stumbled upon. The thrill of discovery now carried the weight of consequences. Days turned into sleepless nights as paranoia seeped into my reality. Unexplained glitches on my devices, unfamiliar faces in my daily routine. Every shadow seemed to harbor a potential threat. The line between the virtual and the tangible blurred, and I became increasingly aware that I might not be the only one monitoring the information I had uncovered. In a bid to ease my growing anxiety, I tried to trace the origins of the invitation. The investigation led me down a rabbit hole of encrypted servers and layers of digital camouflage. The more I uncovered, the more I realized I was entangled in a web of hackers, government agencies, and criminal syndicates. As I dug deeper, warnings started flooding my inbox. Anonymous messages with veiled threats painted a stark reality. My quest for knowledge had consequences, and the puppet masters of the dark web were watching. Sleep became a distant memory as I grappled with the fear that I had become a pawn in a dangerous game. One fateful night, as I sat bathed in the eerie glow of my computer screen, a knock echoed through my apartment. The air turned heavy, and my pulse quickened. The door creaked open, revealing a silhouette in the doorway. The figure, hooded and indistinct, delivered a haunting message. "You've peeked behind the curtain, now face the consequences." The figure retreated into the shadows, leaving me to grapple with the harsh reality that the dark web had transcended its digital boundaries, infiltrating my everyday life. The consequences of my virtual exploration had materialized in the real world, and there was no escaping the price I now had to pay. It was a few months ago when I first came across the topic of the deep web. At first, I thought it was fake, but as soon as I delved into more research, I figured out how to download Tor on my phone. I looked into the dangers and risks, but I thought, I like to take risks, so I clicked from link to link on the hidden wiki, Daniel's links, etc., and found the casual stuff like drugs and weapons. I tried my best to avoid anything related to illegal content. I found random sites that were forums about people talking about fantasy and random stories. Then, at the end of the day, I decided to stop and go to sleep. The next day, when I got home from school, I received a call from a random number. I answered it, just in case it was an important call. It was silent for about 5 seconds. Normally, I would hang up at this point, but I kept listening, and then I heard mumbling/whispering. I was creeped out, and realized that it could be a possibility that maybe someone on the deep web was watching me. I thought to myself, maybe this is a warning. I decided to stop for now. A few months passed, and I wanted to get back on the dark web to see what news sites were up. I was searching on the Red browser's search engine and found a messed up site that was like a social network for psychos. My curious self continued, and I made an account. I noticed that the timestamp was from a few weeks ago, which was recent for the deep web. I continued to read posts on this site, where people were talking about their cravings for illegal content and gore. I was disgusted. I clicked on the images, and it was filled with dead bodies and children. I got off the dark web for the day. A few weeks later, I got curious and went back to the site, finding out that now they had a psycho version of YouTube. They didn't have very many videos, but it seemed to be either porn or gore. I clicked on a video that I think was named A Mother and a Son with One Baseball Bat. I thought this has to be fake, so I opened the video and started watching. The video was taken by the mother, and the little boy was sitting on a bed with a music box. The mom said, "You know what you did was wrong, and you need to apologize." The kid, in silence with just the music box playing, sat there, then got up with a baseball bat and hit his mother on the head. The mother fell to the ground, and you could see her reaction and bruising. The kid hit her again and again until her face was disfigured. This was getting a little too far and disturbing. Every swing, you could hear the kid crying, almost like he doesn't mean to do this to his mother. Then finally, on his last swing, her head came off with blood splattered on a white sheet on the right side of the screen. After seeing this, I almost had a panic attack because that was way too extreme. After that experience, I've been more cautious about what I look at. The first time I heard about the dark web, I was in high school. The very idea of a secretive network within the internet seemed very inviting to the 13-year-old me. I've always had a knack for computer science, so when I first heard about it, it was only logical for me to seek it out. But that was 10 years ago, and the internet was still very primitive. Resources for self-tutoring were also limited, and therefore, no matter how tempting it was for me to discover this trove of hidden treasures, it took me a while to figure out. I remember the first time I went online on Tor, almost giddy from excitement of exploring the unknown. I navigated to the hidden wiki page with its extensive link catalog. I visited some online gun and drug stores and called it a day. Exciting, but nothing out of the ordinary. But things got messy the next time I opened Tor. I came upon an anonymous chat site that anyone could use by signing up. The guys there seemed really nice. I told them I was new to the whole Tor thing, and they took their time to explain to me the basics and how everything worked around the network. "Take it easy," one of them typed back. "So, what are you looking for?" "I've been hearing stories about the dark web, so I came to check out what the deal was, but it's all pretty mellow," I responded. "I guess I was expecting some surprises, but drugs and guns are all that's here." I had given my honest opinion. "You're a nice chap. If you like surprises, follow this link," he then typed, and he signed out. The link took me to a private forum. Sort of like Reddit, but more basic. The first thread was an extensive discussion on how to make cocaine from locally available substances. It also talked about different other unconventional types of highs, like injecting oneself with a mixture of chloroxylenol, Dettol, and ground sugar. A user reported that the high was so potent, 12 hours later he was still reeling. Another thread discussed the best ways to have sex with your pets. As gross as it was, the users also posted links to porn sites that had human-animal sex. I had been looking around for a couple of hours when I came across an innocuous-looking link sitting quietly at the comments section, with the subject line NSFW. At this point, I had already seen a woman have sex with a horse, so there wasn't really much that could surprise me. Or so I thought. The link took me to a video feed of a girl sitting in a chair with a countdown clock running at 11 minutes to 0. The girl looked sleepy, possibly drugged, as she looked right at the camera, eyes half open. I had no idea what was going on. The website was minimalist, just a comment bar, and no other frills. I tried typing something, but the website told me that I was a guest, and to leave a comment I had to sign up and pay about $50. 5 minutes to 0, a man entered the room and started hustling furniture around. The comments section suddenly fired up. There were about 50 other users signed in, and they were all leaving obscene comments. The man came near the monitor, seemed to read something from it, smirked, and went back. It suddenly dawned on me that perhaps this was a live feed. As the countdown clock counted down to 0, Beethoven's Ode to Joy began to play in the background. The man came back on screen, this time with a Swiss Army knife. The comments section, in the meantime, was bustling with perverse comments. "Tear her shirt down," somebody wrote. And in a moment I saw the man slash through the girl's shirt, making her partially topless. "Spit down her throat," someone else wrote. And the man did it. Suddenly, the quantum of the incident dawned on me. There was this girl who was being tortured live for the viewing pleasure of a bunch of sick human beings. I almost felt like throwing up. "Hit her ribs with the bat," was the next request. I watched in horror as the man pulled out a baseball bat from underneath the table, swinging it for her right chest and toppling her over by sheer force of the hit. The girl howled in pain as the commentators typed in their haha, and loved it, once mores. "She's got a perfect nose. Let's break it." Somebody typed in. "Hey, what happened to waterboarding her?" Typed another. A chill ran through my spine. Somewhere there was this girl, locked away in a dungeon, possibly abducted from her family, to be tortured on a live stream and ultimately be killed at the end of the show. I closed all connections, my hands still trembling, as I proceeded to shut down my PC and take a walk to get some fresh air. It remains to be one of my most unpleasant memories. I can still hear her scream in my head as I type this sentence. I still have Tor on my computer, but do not use the service anymore. I just figured I was happy without it. The eerie glow of the computer screen illuminated the dimly lit dormitory room as my friend Jake and I delved deeper into the enigmatic world of the dark web. The air hung heavy with a sense of anticipation, and the pulsating hum of the hard drive seemed to echo in the quiet winter night. In the chat room we entered, the atmosphere was tense. A man with a hood concealing most of his face stood menacingly beside a chair, where a pale and lifeless girl slumped. My breath caught as I noticed the crimson stains on her neck, evidence of a recent and brutal attack. The man's elongated canine teeth were impossible to ignore, and a sense of dread crept over us as we watched him bite into the girl's neck. The room fell into an eerie silence, broken only by the distant howling wind outside. We exchanged uneasy glances, questioning the authenticity of what we were witnessing. Suddenly, the girl stirred, her eyes fluttering open. The once vacant look in her eyes transformed into a deep, penetrating gaze. A sinister smile crept across the man's face as he withdrew from her neck, the bleeding coming to an abrupt halt. As if sensing our presence, the hooded figure turned toward the screen, his eyes meeting ours through the cold glow of the monitor. A shiver ran down my spine, realizing that we were no longer mere spectators. The man typed a message, his words appearing on the screen in a sinister font. "Welcome, curious souls! Witness the rebirth of the undead, where the digital and the supernatural converge. You are now part of a world unseen by mortals." A mix of fear and fascination gripped us, trapping us in a twisted reality. The hooded figure introduced himself as Malachi, a vampire who had harnessed the power of the dark web to initiate the transformation of the girl, now revealed to be named Lily. Intrigued yet apprehensive, we continued our conversation with Malachi. He revealed that Lily had willingly chosen this path, seeking immortality and the allure of the supernatural. As the night unfolded, we learned about the hidden subcultures thriving in the dark corners of the internet, where the boundaries between reality and fiction blurred. As the conversation unfolded, we found ourselves becoming entangled in a web of darkness and secrecy. Malachi, seemingly amused by our curiosity, extended an invitation to explore further, promising untold secrets and forbidden knowledge. Caught between the allure of the unknown and the unsettling reality before us, Jake and I faced a choice: to venture deeper into the enigmatic world of the dark web or retreat to the safety of the mundane. Little did we know that our decision would set into motion a chain of events that would challenge our perceptions of reality, and plunge us into a world where the supernatural and the digital coexisted in the shadows. In the shadows of the internet, where anonymity reigns and the dark web beckons with its mysterious allure, I embarked on a 3-year journey through the depths of Tor, I2P, and Freenet. The obscure underbelly of the digital realm unfolded before me, where red rooms and illicit activities cast a shadow over the virtual landscape. One particular incident stands out, a narrative that unfolds like a cautionary tale in the encrypted corners of the web. A site, boasting the ominous title of a Red Room, materialized before me with a stark simplicity, a grayscale canvas adorned with plain white text and a nondescript login form. In my pursuit to debunk these grim legends, I navigated the eerie interface, only to find an email contact for the elusive administrator nestled at the bottom. Compelled by curiosity and a sense of duty, I reached out to the admin via SIGAINT email, initiating a dialogue that would take an unexpected turn. As I probed for details regarding the site's purported offerings and pricing, my suspicions grew, and I eventually concluded that this, like many before it, was a scam. Armed with this revelation, I took to my dark web blog, exposing the fraudulent nature of the site. This decision, however, proved to be a double-edged sword. The administrator, enraged by my exposé, retaliated with a chilling revelation of personal information. In a menacing email, he laid bare details of my life, my name, my wife's name, my residence, and even my place of employment. The sense of vulnerability that washed over me was palpable, and fear crept into the corners of my consciousness. Faced with a perilous situation, I temporarily withdrew my blog post, opting for caution in the face of this unexpected and ominous retaliation. Silence settled, but it was only a temporary respite. Time passed, and the site mysteriously vanished from the dark web abyss, leaving me to wonder about the enigma that had briefly disrupted my digital existence. After a period of uncertainty, I mustered the courage to resurrect my blog post, reinstating the expose on the scam site. Surprisingly, no further repercussions unfolded, and the virtual shadows remain eerily still. The episode, though unnerving, became a chilling reminder of the hazards that lurk in the clandestine corners of the internet. While this tale may not fit the conventional definition of a horror story, it captures the essence of a digital horror, one where the line between online exploration and unforeseen consequences blurs. My narrative stands as a stark reminder of the risks inherent in traversing the dark web, emphasizing the importance of discretion and the unpredictable nature of anonymous encounters in the virtual underworld. I used to explore the deep web when I was a junior in high school. I remember thinking the taboo and gory side of it was interesting. I was simply a curious teenager and wanted to know if the bad stuff was real. I would have ended up regretting that because I found exactly what I was looking for. I remember stumbling across an old website using the Tor browser, something along the lines of Gore-chan or something with gore in the title. There were chat boards, comments, sections, and even GIFs. I vividly remember stumbling across a GIF of a small dog that was shaking, terrified, and it looked as if it had been skinned alive. It looked so sad, and it was shaking. After finding this GIF, I felt sick to my stomach and so angry that someone would do this. It hurts my soul knowing someone would skin the animal alive. So yes, animal cruelty is real on the deep web. It's very, very sad. I tried to access it a year ago before this but was unable to set up proper connections with Tor and Kali Linux. But this time I had to get in, did the Tor browser setup thing, had dual booted my PC with Kali Linux so it would take me seconds to wipe the entire OS and back to Windows. If at all anything goes wrong, I am safe. I started accessing some of the sites which had dark web links, got to the dark web wiki and one other site which had more collections of links than wiki. Started clicking randomly, just to explore, landed up on sites which deal with drugs and many things which I couldn't understand. But when I went further by clicking randomly on dark web links, there was a link with description. Not for people who have problem with blood and gore. I thought it to be just random warning we see on every video game like Call of Duty, but I was wrong. I got to see which was beyond my imagination. Dark side of humanity. Warning! Below description is not for minors. There were videos of people's suicide, murder, rapes, etc. There was a thread where a girl was confessing about how she will suicide. There were many comments, but to my surprise only one comment was, "Don't do it please, there is hope." All of the others were suggesting her how to do it, and how to leave the video for them to enjoy. There were videos of animals, all sorts of things you can and cannot imagine with animals were there. I randomly clicked on a video and after 2 to 3 seconds I realized that it is of a mouse being tortured to death by grinding with something, immediately closed it. The comments again blow up my mind, people were encouraging it. I still remember one comment. "That shit deserves much brutal death." I was totally shattered at this moment. Even a dead dog on a roadside would leave me in a grief of losing a soul, and here the deep web was full of that. I don't know why, but I clicked on another video link and that was of a woman in a room whose whole face was ripped off. There was no skin on her face, she was alive with 4 people standing by. Immediately closed the video after 2 seconds. While narrating this, that face is coming in front of my eyes. I wasn't able to sleep that night. I should have never clicked on that link, that was bizarre. My heart, mind and soul were shattered by that view. I didn't have the courage to see comments this time. Immediately closed Tor and shut down my system. Went to sleep but wasn't able to. I was too cautious about the things that I'm doing since my childhood, and I googled dark web and saw some methods to access to it. Everyone knows how to access and how to become attracted after getting involved with deep/dark web. I'm not gonna talk about it deeply, and won't recommend to anyone who is interested even. I've done everything that was essential to access, and it was my first time. I was too interested in how bad rabbit and WannaCry viruses could destroy the whole US countries, No one could solve this problem, and as a dreamer boy I wanted to find it through dark web. I heard some versions like Chinese, Russians and so on, but being frankly, I thought it is made as a target way to blame someone on this. I saw the .onion site to pay the 0.5 Bitcoin for hacked PC, and searched carefully from wiki hacker forums. There were a lot mentally ill people that even doesn't know for what they are living for, they knew only how to hack and to become an inmate. I passed the registration and asked for everyone's advice, who could hack the whole airports, hotels, hospitals etc. And at that point I got a hellish message from my antivirus that my microphone and webcam are being used. I was in a shock and accidentally, someone sent me a message that he knows my IP address and where I live and send my location to me. He said to what sites I visited before visiting the dark web. And it was too inadequate to hear that what I did in my room with my G/F. He could gain access to my PC totally and told everything as they exist. I was afraid what can happen with me, not only with me, even with my family, because me and my G/F were religious and that could influence enough adversely to our families. He asked for £5,000 to keep my data safe, and I asked him only one question: where was my fault and how I could get failed while accessing the dark web in the first time, and he took pity on me and answered clearly that I forgot to turn off some background apps, like Telegram, Skype, WhatsApp and etc. I told him that he can do anything he wants, but I haven't such money to give for one hellish cocksucker hacker who could hack me just within 7 minutes surfing the dark web. He threatened me that he will kill me, where I am and who I am, who are my friends, family etc. Then, I asked for some days to think about it carefully, and he left me his Proton Mail link to get contacted, and he had highly level warned me to write him on a PGP format, despite I didn't know what a hell is that. I left my PC alone, house and my street for a few time to calm down myself. I called my close friends, and buddies told me that everything can happen while surfing the dark web. They advised me to contact the police, and doing it by someone's device. There were two ways: to tell the local police that I was in an illegal site, and get fined for it. However, pros were I could save everyone's life, or I had to neglect the warnings, threats and so on. The final decision was I decided to take risks and contacted with my local police and asked for one hacker's help. There was a deal between me and the police that I will send the money through one hacked wallet, and that hacker had to open this wallet and take all money in it. The police told that illegal activities were not committed and there's nothing except doing a research. Yep, the smell of the hero was near and I contacted to that asshole again visiting the dark web saying that there is a wallet with $2,000, you'll get other $3,000 after making me believe that you devastate everything that is related to me. He soon contacted me back and asked for my Bitcoin wallet's login and password. As soon as I gave him, our light system is turned off itself, and whole our team were left without any choice. We could not even understand what was happening. After 2 hours the light system is turned on again, and it is found that the system was hacked. The police opened the wallet system and saw that the purse's money was stolen and the purse was deleted. However, as it is said, every action has its potential trace. They could track that asshole's PC, and soon after few days I heard the news that the well-known person who was in run is busted. I was rewarded for helping the police to fight against international crime. Although this story has happened, I lost my friend after 2 months of being rewarded. This has really happened with my friend and now he is not in this life. I am the person who advised to his friend that he has to contact the police, and now I really regret that I did it. It'd be better if we paid that asshole's money and I could save my friend. Please guys, do not enter the dark web for interest, even research purposes. There is nothing to get interested and involved. Value your own life. Otherwise, you or your close friend can get involved with fire that cannot be escaped. I lost my friend because of dark web, and I wish no one is planning to lose their family/friends or own life. Last year, my curiosity got the best of me, and I decided to explore the mysterious realm of the dark web. Turning to YouTube, I searched for tutorials on accessing the dark web using my Android phone, determined to navigate its depths from the confines of my room. Taking precautions, I covered my phone's camera with tape, secured my surroundings, and began my journey. After consulting a Wikipedia page for dark web links, I started with seemingly harmless chat sites, boosting my confidence. However, the true nature of the dark web unfolded when I ventured into an anonymous confession site. The confessions I encountered were deeply unsettling, with individuals describing horrific acts, including violence against family members and disturbing sadistic tendencies. Disheartened by what I had read, I pressed on, entering chat links associated with pedophilic communities. The experience was both shocking and repulsive, as I stumbled upon discussions and content that I cannot bring myself to describe. The final straw came when I explored a site selling items purportedly made from human skin and organs. The prices and grotesque nature of the products left me on the verge of nausea. Overwhelmed, I closed the site and decided to end my dark web exploration. In the aftermath, sleep eluded me for 2 days, haunted by the ugliness I had witnessed. When I finally resumed normalcy, I received an unexpected WhatsApp message from an unknown international number. The sender accused me of ignoring them and claimed that they couldn't be avoided. Alarmed, I blocked the number, but the messages persisted, leaving me anxious and fearful for my safety. Terrified, I confided in my friends, discovering that a similar ordeal had happened to one of them after exploring the dark web. Resolute, I blocked and reported the numbers, deleted WhatsApp, and deactivated my social accounts. After a period of tense waiting, the messages ceased, but the ordeal left a lasting impact. I vowed never to return to the dark web, irrespective of any tempting offers or circumstances, swearing to safeguard my peace of mind and well-being. Hey there! I'm new but putting my all into sharing real horror stories. Your support is my motivation. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Your comments mean the world to me. Let's make this journey together. I was browsing a chat room once, and I came across a young girl. She was 12. Her question for me was, "If I give you my location, will you kidnap me?" Her reason for this question was because she was told she was too young to have sex. This scared the fuck out of me and I didn't know what to say. She was interested in ethical hacking, which is something I am extremely familiar with. I made her a deal that if she deleted her TOR program I would teach her a little about tracing IP addresses, etc. She agreed, and still to this day I get messages from her. I didn't know how to react to this, but my first thought was her safety. I just wanted to ensure nobody would take advantage of this young one, so I made a pretty weird deal. Once while surfing the dark web, all of a sudden my printer spit out a piece of paper. Thought it was odd, so I inspected the paper. At first I saw absolutely nothing, then I spied in the smallest print possible way up in the top margin it said, "Look out the window, I'm watching you." I freaked out, unplugged my computer and printer, and reinstalled OS and etc. programs. Of course I looked out the window slowly, then remembered where I was impossible for anyone to be there. With all the dogs, fences, atop a hill, and the acreage to cross plus the amount of time I was on the dark web, it was just impossible for anyone to be there. The incident had left me feeling uneasy and paranoid, unsure of whether it was a bizarre prank, a coincidence, or something more sinister. As I meticulously reinstalled my operating system and security programs, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The cryptic message on the paper had shaken the sense of security within the confines of my own home. Days passed, and the unease lingered. I found myself constantly glancing over my shoulder, second-guessing every creak and rustle in the house. Despite the logical part of my mind reassuring me that it was likely a hoax, the mysterious note continued to play tricks on my imagination. Determined to get to the bottom of the bizarre incident, I began researching the possibilities. Could it be a malware prank, a friend playing a trick, or perhaps a glitch in my printer? My exploration led me to the discovery of some malicious programs that could exploit vulnerabilities in connected devices. The dark web, where I had been surfing, was notorious for hosting such threats. The notion that my computer might have been compromised intensified my efforts to fortify my digital defenses. I invested in a robust antivirus program, strengthened my firewall, and adopted a more cautious approach to online activities. The sense of vulnerability gradually lessened, but the memory of that eerie message still lingered. As weeks went by without any further incidents, I started to regain a sense of normalcy. The initial shock gave way to a blend of curiosity and caution. I couldn't help but wonder if it was all an elaborate prank or a strange glitch, but a part of me remained vigilant, aware that the digital world could be an unpredictable and sometimes dangerous place. The experience, though unsettling, served as a wake-up call about the importance of cybersecurity. It prompted me to be more conscious of my online activities, adopt better security practices, and stay informed about potential threats. While the mystery of the message was never fully unraveled, it left me with a heightened awareness of the potential risks lurking in the dark corners of the Internet. Pedophilia is definitely the ugliest part of the dark web. Long time ago, a woman who went undercover and went into chat spaces for pedophilia. The ugliest part is not just that these people were sharing pictures, but that they had an entire philosophy and justification for what they were doing. These are adults who literally believe that children are aware enough, and have autonomy enough, to consensually enter into romantic and sexual relationships with adults. That because children like sex, it makes everything okay. This is called child love, entering into a love relationship with a child. But the really ugly part of pedophilia on the dark web rears its head with the divide between child molesters who inflict pain on their children, and those who don't. Child molesters who practice S&M with their children are looked down upon by child molesters who practice child love. This means that these pedophiles actually critically thought about what they were doing. That first, they thought about having sex with a child and whether or not it was okay. Then, they thought about whether or not S&M was okay, and decided it wasn't. They decided that children can consent to sex but not rough sex. This shows a disconnect in their minds about what consent actually is, what it means to have sex, and what it means to be a child. It shows that they are so convinced that sex with children is okay that they've drawn a line in the sand around it. To these pedophiles, sex with children is like some elevated philosophy that only they have worked out, and only they see the truth about. It's put on a pedestal and separated from other disgusting acts, making it untouchable, something that is just known. This makes it nearly impossible to convince or argue with them about what pedophilia or consent means, and likely shows that these people will stay sick forever, never understanding that what they're doing or advocating for is wrong because they're so sure that they're in the right. Yes, it's ugly. It shows off one of the nastiest qualities a human being can have, using our power of reason in the most selfish way to convince ourselves that we're justified in committing evil. In the clandestine recesses of the cyber underworld, where veils of anonymity dance with malevolence, an unsettling saga emerges, weaving through the intricate tapestry of the dark web's hidden secrets. Within this enigmatic realm, the narrative unfolds, a tale that transcends the boundaries of conventional horror, plunging into the abyss of the unknown. Meet Olivia, a denizen of the digital shadows who once treaded the murky waters of the dark web, navigating its complexities with an unsettling familiarity. My journey began years ago, a digital odyssey marked by a chance encounter with a defunct website known only as Cryptic Vortex. Little did I know, this virtual portal would become the gateway to a nightmarish reality. In those bygone days I, under the pseudonym Nix, contributed thought-provoking articles to a controversial website named Cryptic Insights. My topics ranged from the esoteric to the scientific, with one particularly harrowing piece exploring the aftermath of nuclear warfare on unborn children and infants. Unbeknownst to me, this innocuous contribution would set in motion a series of events that would forever alter the course of my digital existence. One fateful day, a mysterious acquaintance alerted me to a shocking revelation. My article had been transplanted from the mainstream internet to the clandestine forums of the dark web. The link, shared through encrypted channels, led me to a disturbing community, a hub of malevolent minds congregating under the ominous banner of Obsidian Abyss. The chilling contents of this forum surpassed the grotesque, delving into the darkest corners of human depravity. Shockingly, my article had become a twisted centerpiece for discussions that revolved around a sinister genre known as obsidian eclipses. This subculture, a venomous offshoot of hardcore, fixated on the abhorrent realm of sexual torture, particularly targeting the most vulnerable, children. Stricken with horror, I embarked on a digital odyssey that took me deeper into the abyss. I meticulously traced the virtual threads, unveiling a network of darkness that interconnected through various platforms, including the infamous Shadowplay, a hub for heinous activities with its roots entrenched in the darkest corners of the dark web. As I delved further, I stumbled upon a sinister nexus known as Abyssal Nexus, a hub that facilitated the unspeakable exchange of illicit content. Here, I encountered the repulsive underbelly of humanity, with Playpen being an infamous node in this grotesque network. Nathan, an 8-month-old infant, emerged as a tragic symbol of innocence marred by the cruelty of his own father, one among countless victims in this digital nightmare. Heartbroken but resolute, I meticulously documented my findings, preserving screenshots and links as damning evidence. With a heavy heart, I reported my discoveries to a clandestine cyber watchdog known as Whispering Shadows, hoping to contribute to the fight against these abhorrent crimes. Yet the question lingered: why did such a nefarious underworld persist, and why were platforms like Playpen allowed to flourish for so long? The answer, it seemed, lay in the elusive dance between law enforcement agencies and the ever-evolving shadows of the dark web. Haunted by the memories of Nathan and countless others, my harrowing journey through the digital abyss serves as a stark reminder of the real-world consequences of unchecked malevolence. The story I unraveled transcends the realms of horror, echoing the urgent call to expose and dismantle the darkest corners of the digital underworld.